I'd like to thank you for joining us for this briefing. Yesterday, as you all know, we received the sad news of a fuel tanker explosion that tragically led to the loss of life of over 60 people in Tanzania. I wish to express on behalf of the South African government our heartfelt condolences to the people and government of Tanzania. We have agreed with the presidency that as the Department of International Relations and Cooperation, we should strive to provide our country with regular briefings on international matters. Today we focus largely on the President's outgoing visit and the upcoming SADC summit in Tanzania. South Africa and Tanzania enjoy strong fraternal, historical, as well as excellent political, economic, and social relations, which were cemented during the period of the liberation struggle. The government and the people of Tanzania, under the late President Mwalimu Julius Nyerere, hosted the liberation movements from the Southern African region. South Africa established formal diplomatic relations with Tanzania in 1994. Since then, there have been high-level interactions between the two countries aimed at consolidating and strengthening political, economic, and social relations, resulting in the signing of 16 sectoral agreements between the two countries. The state visit by President Ramaphosa will further deepen the existing economic, political, cultural, and social relations between the two countries. In 2011, an agreement establishing the Binational Commission between South Africa and Tanzania was signed. The inaugural session of the BNC took place in Tanzania in 2017, and South Africa is expected to convene the next BNC in South Africa at an agreed mutual date. In 2018, South African exports amounted to 5.8 billion rand, whereas imports from Tanzania amounted to 479 million rand. South African exports to Tanzania are predominantly in the areas of manufacturing, for example, machinery, mechanical appliances, paper, rubber products, vehicles, iron and steel, as well as provision of services and exchange of technology. On the other hand, imports from Tanzania are mainly gold, coffee, cashew nuts, and cotton. There are over 170 South African companies operating in Tanzania across all sectors of the economy. This state visit will allow both leaders to discuss bilateral, continental, and global issues, and to reaffirm their commitment to further cooperate closely on multilateral issues. The President will be accompanied by the Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, the Minister of Defense and Military Veterans, the Minister of Trade and Industry, the Minister of Mineral Resources and Energy, and the Minister of State Security. A business forum is being arranged by the Ministries of Trade and Industry of both countries, and participants will be addressed by both presidents. This then will be the first state visit by President Ramaphosa since assuming office after the elections in May this year. The second subject is the 39th Ordinary Summit of the SADC Heads of State and Government. Following the state visit, President Ramaphosa will lead a South African delegation to the 39th Ordinary Summit of SADC Heads of State and Government, also set to take place in Dar es Salaam, the United Republic of Tanzania's capital, from 17th to 18th of August. The summit will take place under the theme, A Conducive Business Environment for Inclusive and Sustainable Industrial Development. This theme is in line with previous SADC summit decisions that endorsed industrialization as the overarching priority for the region based on the SADC Industrialization Strategy and Roadmap 2015 to 2063. In 2015, the SADC Summit of Heads of State and Government adopted a SADC industrialization strategy and roadmap, plus its action plan, which was adopted in March 2017. This plan prioritizes the activation of regional value chains and the strengthening of key enabling institutions to support industrial development in the region as a potentially powerful mechanism to promote development. The regional strategy prioritizes about 3 key industrial sectors, namely agro-processing, pharmaceuticals, and minerals beneficiation. The focus is now on the creation of the necessary conditions in member states and across the region, conditions that will attract the private sector to invest in productive activities at a domestic, regional, and international level. These necessary conditions are center stage of the industrialization strategies at a member state and a regional level. They include, among others, a focus on enabling infrastructure and on resolving border issues, the development of appropriate industrial skills, the enhancement of research and development capabilities, the deepening of value chains around prioritized minerals, and the development of small and medium and micro-sized enterprises. Apart from considering the progress on the implementation of the SADC industrialization strategy and roadmap, the upcoming 39th summit is expected to consider the protocol on industry and the regional mining vision. These documents are a demonstration of the region's desire to cooperate on industrial development to support regional integration. SADC remains a key component of South African foreign policy, which aims to promote economic integration among its member states and to achieve sustainable development, allowing the region to address the key challenges of unemployment and poverty alleviation. Regional integration plays an important role, both politically and economically, in terms of reducing the risk of regional conflicts. It further relates to pooling resources and markets for achieving economies of scale. The summit will provide an opportunity for heads of state and government to be apprised on the overall implementation of the SADC work program, including the revised Regional Indicative Strategic Development Plan 2015 to 2020 and the SADC Industrialization Strategy and Roadmap. The summit will be updated on the status of the region's economy, health, and food security. It will provide policy direction about future strategic work of SADC and the SADC post-2020 agenda. The chair of the SADC organ on politics, defense, and security cooperation will also present a report on the status of regional peace and security. In his capacity as the SADC facilitator to the Kingdom of Lesotho, President Ramaphosa will present a report on developments in the facilitation process during the SADC Troika Summit of the Organ on Politics, Defense and Security Cooperation, which will be held on the 16th of August, just in case you're wondering what we're doing on the 16th. During this meeting, President Ramaphosa will be supported by retired Deputy Chief Justice Moseneke. I will lead a South African delegation to a meeting of the Southern African Development Community Council of Ministers scheduled from 13th to 14th August, again in Tanzania. The SADC Council of Ministers is responsible for overseeing the functioning and development of the region. It ensures that the policies and decisions taken are implemented. The meeting is expected to deliberate on several key issues pertaining to the region, consider many strategic documents, and receive update reports on the progress made by SADC since the last summit, which took place in Windhoek, Namibia in March 2019. Key issues to be deliberated upon will include the status of finances of the SADC organization, and will also receive a report on the Finance and Human Resources and Administration Committees. Furthermore, the Council will reflect on progress made toward continental and regional integration and discuss development cooperation and resource mobilization. In addition, as Council, we will receive a progress on the SADC industrialization strategy and roadmap and the implementation of the current theme of the 38th SADC Summit, promoting infrastructure development and youth empowerment for sustainable development. The SADC Council of Ministers will precede the 39th SADC Ordinary Summit of Heads of State and Government, scheduled for 17th and 18th August. Ladies and gentlemen, in addition to the subject of this meeting, I wish to take this opportunity to express my and my department's concern regarding statements said to emanate from a student organization in Nigeria calling for the expulsion of South Africans and protests at South African-owned businesses. The protests are said to be in response to alleged killings of Nigerians by South Africans. As you are aware, these allegations are devoid of truth, they are reckless and unwarranted. We find these statements most unfortunate, as they don't reflect the strong relations that exist between the people and the governments of South Africa and Nigeria. The two countries enjoy strong bilateral relations, which were forged over many years during our struggle for liberation in South Africa and in this democratic era. They fully supported these relations by the people and government of Nigeria. The Acting High Commissioner to Nigeria of South Africa, Mr. Bobby Moore, who is with us today, has had several meetings with the police and other senior government officials in Nigeria. We have also had contact from the highest level of the Nigerian government and have been assured that authorities in Nigeria are taking these calls for a protest campaign seriously. They have also assured us that South African citizens and their property in Nigeria will be protected. South Africa values the strong ties it has established with Nigeria and will continue to enhance these even further. The statements referred to earlier appear to result from the unfortunate passing of Mrs. Elizabeth Ndubisi-Chukwu, the Deputy Director General of the Chartered Insurance Institute of Nigeria, who passed away here in South Africa in June 2019. The South African Police Service is still investigating this incident. We believe no one should abuse this unfortunate tragedy to generate negative sentiments about South Africa, and we express our condolences to Mrs. Ndubisi-Chukwu's family, friends, and the people of Nigeria. I wish to repeat statements made by the Minister of Police, Mr. Beki Cele, when addressing the diplomatic corps, and I'm most grateful the Minister agreed to be with us today, made these statements early this year. Firstly, there is no targeting of any group of Africans in South Africa. Secondly, our law enforcement agencies are making every effort to fight crime and arrest all criminals. It is worth mentioning that daily Nigerian nationals travel to South Africa for a multiplicity of reasons, ranging from business, tourism, and academic purposes. Similarly, South Africans have chosen Nigeria as their preferred destination for investment and other activities of interest. Nigeria is home to approximately 120 South African companies, amongst which are MTN, ShopRite, MultiChoice, South African Airways, and Game, to mention but a few. All these companies have over the years contributed towards job creation and social responsibility programs for Nigerian nationals, both young and old. We are therefore very pleased that our strong relations were able to place South African business on a firm footing in Nigeria and also pave the way for further investments by Nigerian business in South Africa. I'm hoping that with the support of our High Commission in Nigeria, we'll be able to invite to South Africa some of the leaders of student organizations leading the calls for protests against South African businesses in Nigeria. I will also ask my colleague, the chairperson of the National Council of Provinces of our parliament, to invite his counterpart, the Senate President of Nigeria, and a delegation to visit South Africa to see for themselves that many Nigerians live in peace and harmony among South Africans. We would also ensure that a delegation of members of the executive, which will include myself and Minister Cele, will visit Nigeria to further strengthen our relations. I hope their visit and our visit will help them to develop a different view from that which they have about South Africa. I thank you very much for your attendance this morning.